Hi, I'm Trey Pearce, and I am the Earth and Space Science teacher here at Richardson High School, and I majored in geology, and I'm so excited to talk about the eclipse today.
Hi, my name is Amy Hammer. I'm a chemistry teacher here. I taught Earth and Space Science a long time ago, and I majored in meteorology and earth sciences at A&M, and I'm so excited about the eclipse. So the eclipse that's happening today, if you're watching this in advisory on April 8th, is going to happen this afternoon. Right now, the eclipse is traveling across North America, and it's over Mexico right now, but it is traveling towards Texas. And so at 12:23 our time, the eclipse is going to begin. And it starts out very slow, and if you look outside, you won't be able to tell the difference at the very beginning. But as the day goes on and we get closer to 1:40, it's going to get darker and darker and darker outside as the moon covers up the sun. And what's so special about this eclipse today is that it is a total solar eclipse. So you might be thinking, didn't we just have an eclipse back in the fall? Didn't we have an eclipse a couple years ago? Yes, that's true, but those were partial eclipses. And today we're going to have a total eclipse. So the sun will be entirely covered by the moon, and totality, when it is completely covered, begins at 1:40 p.m. and it lasts 3 minutes and it ends at 1:43 p.m. So for that portion of the day, it will be dark outside. And so we're hoping for clear weather. We're recording this the week before. We're hoping for clear weather on eclipse day so that we can experience that to its fullest. After 1:43, the totality of the eclipse ends. The sun begins to peek back out, and the totality ends at 1:44, and then the total experience ends at 3:03 p.m.
So I know that you've probably heard eclipse a whole bunch, and this is a really, really rare event that we get a solar eclipse. We get a lunar eclipse much more often, and a lunar eclipse is when you can see that the sun is going to be shining and then the earth is going to come into the shadow of the moon. And what that's going to do is turn the moon red, and a lot of times it's referred to as a red moon. That can only take place at a full moon. When you're looking at a lunar eclipse, it is totally safe to look at it with your eyes without needing to wear any protective gear. And also, anyone who is at nighttime during a lunar eclipse will be able to see the lunar eclipse. So everyone who's at nighttime, which is half the world, will be able to see a lunar eclipse when it takes place. With a solar eclipse, that is not true. First of all, it is a really cool experience where the earth is going to turn dark during the day. It occurs obviously during the daytime, but it doesn't occur for everyone who is in daytime. In fact, it occurs for a very narrow sliver of people, as you saw with that path of totality. Only the people in the path of totality are able to see it. And as you can see, what happens here is that the moon gets in between the sun and the earth. So it's only the people in the moon's shadow, which is much smaller than the earth, that are going to get the total solar eclipse. The thing is, with a solar eclipse, because it's the sun, you have to wear protective gear to look at it, protective glasses, which will be handed to you during this period, in order to be able to look at the sun as it is going through its stages of the eclipse. This is Coach Cox, and she is the sun. And this is Mrs. Hawkins, and she is the moon. And this is Lux Walker, and she is the earth. And they are going to help us show you what the eclipse will look like. Okay, so if you'll back up over there, and then Lux, if you'll come right here. So on a typical day, we have the moon, and it is orbiting around the earth. And the moon orbits around the earth, and sometimes it orbits around up high, and sometimes it orbits around the earth down low. And only when it is in the very special arrangement of being exactly equal with the Earth and the sun, such as right here, will we get the sun being blocked by the Earth on the moon. And that's what causes a lunar eclipse. But for a solar eclipse, we need the very rare event of where they perfectly line up so that the moon is blocking the Earth from the sun. And when that happens, only a small shadow of the moon will get to the Earth. And that's why only a limited portion of the Earth gets the total lunar eclipse that we're about to get. I also want to mention that the sizes here, the scales here, are not reasonable at all. If this was actually the size of the moon, the Earth would need to be the size of this floor to ceiling. And if the Earth was actually that big, the sun would need to be larger than our entire building and campus in order to be to scale. But thank you to all of our volunteers.
All right, so again, can you look at the sun during the eclipse? No, you may not. So the back of your eye is called your retina, and it doesn't have pain sensors. And so if you're damaging your retina by looking at the sun, you won't know because you can't feel that pain, but the damage will be done. If you look directly at the sun, even if it's partially covered up, you're gonna risk burning your retina, the back of your eye, and it can cause serious permanent vision loss. After the eclipse several years ago, part of the United States experienced a total solar eclipse in 2017. Many people ended up going to the eye doctor after and saying, something happened to my vision, I just can't see as well as I could. Well, because they were looking at the sun without their protective equipment. And so it can cause blurry vision, or even worse, it can cause permanent vision loss for part of your field of vision. So you may not look at the sun during the total eclipse, except for a teeny tiny part of it that we will tell you about in a minute. But you may not look at the sun when you can see the bright sun and it's not covered up.
We all know that we have had moments in which we have glanced at the sun, and when that happens and it's the normal sun outside, it will actually turn the sun blue slightly. And then when you look away, everything that you look at will have this giant blue circle, and that will fade after time. The problem with the solar eclipse is that as the sun goes into totality, before it gets there, that won't happen. You won't get that blue warning sign. And instead, it will just burn your retinas. And again, it will permanently scar your ability to see. That is one of the main things that we want to stress. So one of the questions that comes up a lot of the times is, can I just wear sunglasses? Sunglasses are mainly used to reduce glare from the sun. They are not meant or intended for looking at the sun. Sunglasses are going to reduce the bouncing of the sun's light off of other things, such as the street pavement or other cars or buildings. And that is really why you wear sunglasses. It's so that way you can still see. But obviously, if you're wearing sunglasses, you still have a full field of vision. If you put your eclipse glasses on, you are not going to be able to see anything. 99.99% of sunlight will be filtered by your eclipse glasses. So it's going to be important that when you have your eclipse glasses on, that you put them on to look at the sun. So it filters out enough of the sun's light that you're able to look and see it as it moves towards totality, as it goes slowly across, which is good, but also you need to understand that your eclipse glasses are blocking 99.999% of light. Therefore, that is not meant for you to wear while you're moving around. You should not put your eclipse glasses on to walk outside. You should not put your eclipse glasses on while you're driving a car or doing anything else. Your eclipse glasses only go on when you're in a safe location where you can put them on and then look up at the sun. And even if you're wearing your eclipse glasses, the sun is so powerful that if you just stare at the sun, it can also cause blurry vision or light sensitivity. So it's going to be really important that, again, you look up, you see it, it's going to be amazing, and then you look down and feel free to chat with your friends during that time. The actual way that this is going to happen is at 1:30 we're going to have a fire drill where we're all going to exit the building so we get a chance to be out there. And then as you saw 1:40 to 1:43, you will see the totality. And then once that has ended, we will be moving everybody back into the building to go back to class as we're going through that. And so you might get the question of like, can I take a picture of the sun with my phone? Well, it turns out that your phone has lenses just like your eye does. And if you try to just take a picture of the sun with your phone, especially if you just hold your phone up so that you can see it on your view screen, what will happen is you will actually melt the camera inside your phone, and it can actually cause your phone to have permanent damage. So if you would like to take a picture, as you can see over here, you need to fully cover the lens of your phone with your Eclipse glasses. Then that will filter out enough light that you can take a picture. And as you can see, that would be partial eclipse as it's moving towards the total solar eclipse.
All right, so a question that we often get for a total solar eclipse is, can I look at the sun when it is fully covered? And we have to be very careful about this. There is a very small amount of time that you can take off your glasses, so we're going to talk about what that's going to look like. So in the beginning of that 1:40 time range, when you look at the sun through your glasses, you're going to see what's sometimes called the diamond ring. So it's going to look like a ring around the sun with a bright spot on one side. That's like the diamond. And that's slowly going to fade. But at this time, when you can still see a little bit of the sun peeking out, it is not safe to look at the sun without your eclipse glasses. But when you're looking with your eclipse glasses and the sun is entirely gone, so you're looking through your eclipse glasses and it is entirely dark, then you may look at the sun for a brief moment without your glasses. And what you're going to see when you take your glasses off is this complete dark circle, and that's the moon, completely covering the sun. And I have never seen this in my life, and you haven't either. And this is what's so exciting, is it's the one time in your life where you can truly look at the sun without any sort of eye protection, and you're going to see this bright glowing ring of the sun around the moon's shadow. It only lasts for a few short minutes. You're looking at the sun without your glasses, and you see a hint of the sun start to reappear as the moon continues moving its path over the sun. Just a little bit of light. Put your glasses back on, because you can cause that eye damage with a very short exposure. And so it is not safe to look at the sun when that little bit of light starts to reappear. And that light is only going to grow and increase. After totality, more light will be coming through. And so as soon as totality is over and you start to see a little bit of light, even if you think maybe I'm seeing some light, put your glasses back on.
So this right here that you're going to see, that is actually not the sun itself. That is the sun's corona. The sun is extremely large and emits a ton of radiation that comes to us in the form of sunlight and heat and radiation. And so that is the really cool effect of the sun's corona that we are excited to be able to see when the eclipse occurs. And fingers crossed the weather is good enough that we'll be able to see it. So the eclipse can be really emotional, and I know that that sounds silly to a lot of you, but this is truly going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for many of you, okay? We have not seen this in our lifetimes. In fact, the last total solar eclipse in Dallas was in 1878, 146 years ago, right? And the next one is not until 2317. So I don't think we're going to be making it to the next total solar eclipse, and that is why we're making such a big deal of this. This is why we're trying to go outside and make sure that everyone in this entire school district gets an opportunity to see this, okay? Watching the sun and the land go dark in the middle of the day, it can be a really powerful experience. A lot of people remark that it looks like dusk is coming towards you and then it becomes dawn as it moves away. And you can actually see that happening over the land over a period of minutes instead of over a period of hours. And so it's okay to feel emotional. There are people who see the eclipse and they're like, wow, that's cool. And there are people who see the eclipse and they just want to like take a picture and post it on their Instagram. And there are also people who see the eclipse and it's going to bring up powerful emotions, perhaps even making them cry. That's okay. Like, that is a perfectly natural reaction to get. Please be aware of your fellow students and be kind to them if that's the reaction they have, because some other people may get scared. We know for a fact that there are a lot of cultures that have very negative feelings about eclipses. And so if that is how you feel, that is a perfectly acceptable way to feel as well. One of the reasons posited for why many of our ancient cultures have a tradition of going inside and locking the doors and staying inside until the total solar eclipse is over, or the idea that evil spirits are roaming the world during a total solar eclipse, where that comes from a lot of times is that when the sun was starting to go behind the moon, people in the village who looked up at the sun would go blind. They would get that burning of their retinas that we previously talked about. And so you can imagine if you had one person who's inside not looking at the sun and many people outside looking at the sun, that the one not blind person, that would be what we would teach people to do so that everybody was safe in a time before we had eclipse glasses.
All right, so we often think, okay, the eclipse, it's outer space, who cares? That has nothing to do with anything on Earth. But there's a lot of interesting science phenomenon that happen during the eclipse that don't have to do with the sun and the moon, okay? So it can affect things here on Earth. The temperature is going to drop significantly. If it was a hot, hot day on the eclipse, which we don't know yet how the weather is going to be, the temperature can drop significantly, up to 10 degrees rather quickly. It can change the weather. The cloud cover will often change during the total solar eclipse. Animals might behave strangely. Animals that are nocturnal or generally only come out at dusk might come out because they think that nighttime is coming. Plants that follow the sun, like sunflowers, or flowers that only open during the sunlight and close at night, they might behave differently. They might actually start to close up. And then ERCOT, which is our energy organization here in Texas, actually says that the solar energy output will be significantly diminished in the state of Texas because for several minutes across the whole state of Texas, there will be no light. There will be no solar energy being produced. However, they have said, don't worry, that the small amount of energy loss caused by the solar eclipse will not affect our energy grid, and we should be fine.
So in conclusion, this is an absolutely incredible opportunity, an eclipse that travels all the way from Mexico, all the way up into Canada. It crosses the entire United States, and we are the largest city that is directly in the zone of totality. We expect that the DFW will go from having around 8 million people up to 9 or even 10 million people coming in to come and view this. And it should make for a really great experience. And I just want to once again tell you how lucky you are that you are in the zone of totality. Denton, which is obviously very close to us, is not in the zone of totality. And so Denton will not see this solar eclipse. If they want to, they have to bus into Dallas in order to be able to see it. So again, we here at Richardson are super lucky, and we can't wait for you guys to get the opportunity to see this.
Have fun.